Namaste everyone and welcome to another session on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Today we will research chapter 4, the title jñāna-karma-sannyāsa-yoga or Yoga of Renunciation of the Self in Action. I propose to start chapter 4 by first looking at the heading itself. Jñāna-karma-sannyāsa-yoga. Jnana means knowledge of the self. Now, knowledge of the self comes in varying degrees. So we come from the state of null, which is called the Brahman. From the Brahman, there is a movement of the identity. So obviously, if we have to regress back into the Brahman, that very identity which went out must be nullified and so that we can merge with the Brahman. What we need to therefore do is to recognize that the self is its own impediment to merger with the Brahman. That is jnana. That is the cognition of that particular identity which is preventing us from merging with the Brahman is jnana. So cognition of that. See, you must remember one thing. This is not an intellectual exercise. It is a cognitive exercise. It is visceral. It is something that we need to experience. Which is why it is called anubhava. From null, the identity emerges. That means if we have to merge back with the state of null or Brahman, we have to negate this identity. We have to, but for that, we must first understand that it exists. To understand that it exists, we must first become aware of the existence of that particular state. If it is an existence, it means that we have to cognize it. It is a cognition. We must become aware of it. So, the first part is the understanding that we are all linked. We are all emerging from the Brahman. We are linked to the Brahman, but we are not the Brahman. This is a very important distinction. While we are existing in the Brahman, we are not linked to it. We are linked to it, but we are not it. We are like a mirror, a shadow of the Brahman. But we exist as individuals. So we have a subtle filter between us and the Brahman. This filter is called Maya. It forces us to look outwards to get confirmation of our own existence. And the more we get trapped into the world of Maya, the more we get trapped into the world of Maya, the greater is the difficulty we have in regressing. Because the world of Maya makes us believe that this is the truth. This is what it is all about. And that is the one that we need to transcend. So what he is saying is, jñāna-karma-sannyāsa-yoga means we are yoked at two levels to the Brahman. One is the real yoking, that is, we are all part of the Brahman, so we are already yoked. But we don't recognize that because we don't have the awareness of the yoking of ourselves with the Brahman. For us to recognize that we are becoming, we are yoked to the Brahman, first of all, we need to be aware of our own existence in this real, in the world of Maya. After we recognize that the existence is in the Maya, then we have to recognize that it is temporary, which is what Śrī Kṛṣṇa talks about in chapter 2. So this is another interesting thing about Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It is a progressive document. First, always he says the existence is temporary. So, first thing we need to recognize is that ourself, we are a amsam or a part of the Brahman who are struggling in Maya, who are struggling in a world, a make-believe world, which is temporary, and we need to recognize that we exist in a temporary framework. And this framework is very addictive. It is something that will keep pulling us no matter how hard we try. And the reason it will keep pulling us is because it gives us a fake sense of security. This sense of security can be demolished in a second if you get into a fight with a loved one. If you get into an argument with somebody you care for very heavily, and that argument becomes very vicious, then you immediately begin to get very insecure. What is going on in my life? If suppose you lose a job, immediately there is insecurity. And then this feeling of permanence begins to get shaken. This is why this is the thing that we need to recognize, that what we think is permanent is actually not permanent. It is a kind of an illusion, a phenomenon that occurs, because the word Maya comes from the Sanskritam dhatu, or root word ma. Ma means phenomenon. So it's a phenomenon, it is temporary, it is occurring. So for as long as we understand that, we will be in a state of relative vivekam. Vivekam means we will be able to discriminate between what is real and what is unreal. So, first thing that we need to do is become aware that we exist in a framework. Second is we need to become aware that this framework is temporary. It is a phenomenon. And that for us to be able to transcend this phenomenon, we have to renounce that personality which we have. After all, jnana means understanding, cognition of the self. When we are acting, what happens? I am the doer. Ahankara comes into the picture. I am the one who is protecting my family. No, you are not protecting your family. You are doing what you are supposed to do. The minute the I comes into the picture, that entire thing becomes Maya. Because you are now trapped into a force field which will drive you in a particular direction, which is driven by the I. That I am the doer. For as long as that I am the doer exists, Maya, the framework, will trap you. So, jñāna-karma-sannyāsa-yoga. So, this entire thing is a yoga. Yoga means what? It is something that holds, that is yoking you to something. So, there is a subject, there is an object. The object does not necessarily have to be material. The object can be psychological also. In this case, the yoking is of ourselves to the Brahman. So we have jnana, that is ourselves, our understanding of ourselves. Karma is the action, what we do. Sannyasa is the renunciation part. That means if you want to experience yoga, you off the self, you have to renounce your action. Jñāna-karma-sannyāsa-yoga. So in order to experience yoga, the yoking of yourself to the Brahman, which is jnana, you need to be able to renounce your action. Who renounces the action? Us. So, That is the whole chapter. The entire chapter is driven by just one thought. How to be able to renounce your action and yet act. So you live in a world of Maya without being touched by Maya, without being driven by the compulsions of Maya. Without being driven, like for instance, if when I used to work in a company, there are certain targets which are given to me by the company. Those targets have to be met. Otherwise, there are consequences to the individual. The ability to accept the consequences and say that these consequences are a necessary illusion. That is the thing, that is the strength of character that one needs to get. That is the jnana that one needs to get. Very often that becomes a reality. To be able to accept that particular outcome with vivekam and vairagya, that is with dispassion, without feeling that, oh, this thing happened to me, I have lost my job, I have lost my promotion, I have lost my increment, that child did not do well, this school is not taking me seriously. All of this is going to be destructive, because it means that you are losing that recognition that you are struggling in the world of Maya. So your jnana is eroding, the vivekam is lost. So because of that, you are no longer able to renounce your action. Let me give you another example. Today, if you will see my YouTube channel, those of you who go there, you will know, I barely have about 138 subscribers and I have about 50 views of the latest video. Now I have two options. I can hold my head and say, "Arey, I am trying so hard, nothing is happening." Or I can continue to do what I do. And if it must happen, it will happen. It is not my knowledge that I am sharing. It is knowledge that is there in the universe. Where do if I was to say that I am the person who has understood all this, that's rubbish. The day I start thinking that I am the doer is the day I have destroyed my entire ability to transcend from current state into Brahman. So this is a very simple example, a very simplistic example that I have given. So it is there in each of us. Each of us is doing something all the time. There is a mother who is trying to get the child to do certain things. There is a father who is trying to do some, trying to get money to pay the bills, to pay the EMIs, to get a car, to take the children on a holiday. All of this, sometimes it happens, sometimes it does not happen. If it happens, to think that I did it is destructive. If it does not happen, to hold your head and say, "Arey, what am I going to do?" that is also destructive. Neither of them is real. Both of them are illusions. They are all phenomena. They exist for the moment. The minute you have slept, next day morning it's not there. Very often, those of us who have lived beyond, say, a few years, for us to remember what happened when we were young is very difficult. Does that mean that it did not exist, did not happen? No, it happened. But it is a phenomenon. To think that it is very important and this is the thing that defined our life may not be the right way to approach these things. So, this is a very critical part that we need to understand. So, I am going to stop here for 5 minutes and then ask you all I am opening the floor for questions. Let us recap chapter 4, the title, jñāna-karma-sannyāsa-yoga, which means how to cognize the self in action and act in a manner whereby the self is isolated from the action while being integrated with the Brahman. So let us split this complex sentence into its constituent parts. Jnana means knowledge of the self. At a secular level, it means cognizing the natural state of any entity. At the yogic level, jñāna-yoga means knowledge which yokes the person's awareness of the self to the Brahman. What is karma? Karma means work or action. In chapter 4, Śrī Kṛṣṇa explains how action can be performed without accruing debt, runa, by operating in the natural state. What is sannyasa? Sannyasa means renunciation. So let us do a deep dive into how jnana affects us. So as we can see, the most important thing that we need to recognize is prajna. Prajna means awareness of the movement of the consciousness or chitta, or in another sense, awareness of the self, the sense of I, the Ahankara, that is Prajna. The movement of chitta, the movement of consciousness or chitta, then ensures that data is received from various sources, and then that is converted by the manas. The information gleaned by the chitta is then taken by the senses, and compiled at the cognitive state, which is then compared by the buddhi with our sense of existence, which is dharma, or our conditioning. The awareness of ourselves in the external environment is called vijnana, and the awareness of our internal self, the working of our internal self, is called jnana, especially when it is related to the working of the consciousness and the identity. What is Ahankara? When we have two different levels of jnana interacting, Ahankara becomes real. It impacts our relationship with others. So when we like each other, we come close to each other, and when we dislike each other, we push each other away. This movement, which is generated by raga and dvesha, is called karma, and the resulting outcome is called runa, and that is what results in the entire business of samsara and rebirth. So in this chapter we talk about how karma impacts our rebirth. What we generate now is agami karma. What that agami karma then goes into the overall ledger of karma, which is called sanchita karma. Then the karma that we bring to this earth for reconciliation on this earth is called prarabdha karma. What is sannyasa? Sannyasa is the stage of renunciation. Now, sannyasa by itself is an element of ashrama or stages in life. The stages in life or ashrama are based on the development of the individual as a person through various stages in life defined by specific events or samskara. The stages of life are brahmacharya ashrama, or the stage of studentship, the stage of householder or grihasthasrama, the stage of retirement or vanaprasthasrama, and finally the stage of renunciation of sannyasa asrama. Sannyasa asrama essentially is that period in our lives where we give up all material attachment and try to merge with the source or Brahman. What is yoga? On a secular level, yoga is any form of yoking. For example, a husband is yoking with a wife is yoga. Similarly, parents with children is yoga. Individuals with their action, ourselves with our action is a yoga. Our yoking with our destiny is also a yoga. The self with the source is yoga. Similarly, the self with debt is also yoga. Effort with result is yoga. But at a perfection level, at the penultimate level, yoga is the union of the self with the Brahman. Thank you. Do like, share, and subscribe. For more information, please do visit my website www.schoolofyoga.in.